I'm going to tell you about James. Just the most wonderful guy, but James had so much trauma because he was dropped off at 3 years old in an institution when his mom was told by the doctor that that was the best thing you could do, is just drop your child off and forget you ever had him, and he never saw his family again. And it was chaos. It was much like the Geraldo Rivera, Willowbrook, expose. So it was just like that from the stories he tells. And James had, you could tell there was some genetic issue, but his arm was twisted also. And I always thought that that was kind of part of his genetic thing. And then he told me that he used to fight, it was just chaos all the time. It was just all the kids fighting with each other. The boys just were constantly fighting and constantly attacking each other. And one time he was attacking this boy, and the staff person grabbed him and broke his arm. And then he said, "We're not going to the doctor, because if we do, I'll get in trouble." And his arm healed in that twisted way. So for his whole life, he had that. So when I met James, he had a number of behavioral issues. He had a lot of hygiene issues. Like, he wouldn't shower at all. And his clothes were really smelly. He would just keep hiding his clothes and wearing the same clothes every day. But just definitely wouldn't shower or use deodorant or anything like that. Well, come to find out that in the institution, his whole life until he got out as an adult, I think he was in his maybe early 30s, late 20s, they lined everyone up, had them butt naked. They were totally stripped down and hosed them down. And that was how they got showers. So of course he didn't want to take a shower. Of course that was traumatizing. Many bad things that went on in the institution. And James, was also had, every now and then he'd get a little aggressive. He'd have some issues. A lot of it was trauma. So here's what happened with James. He fell in love. He fell in love with a little lady with Down syndrome, and her name was Sarah. And I had written, mind you, I had written several behavior programs for James. We targeted the aggression and non-compliance with hygiene, because he was just smelly and dirty. And so we were like, okay, everybody's calling me, Karen, you have to write a behavior plan. So I wrote a behavior plan. It didn't work. Tried to pay him to take showers. Not very sophisticated. But I'll tell you what worked. Sarah, he was so in love with Sarah. She was at his day program, and he wanted to marry her. They never even went on a date, because most of our folks never got the opportunity to date. They just went straight to, I want to marry you. He went out and bought a ring, got her a little, ring from the Walmart or whatever. Woolworths back then, maybe, I don't know. It was a while ago. So he got her a ring, and he said, I want to marry you. And she said, but you stink. No, I'm not marrying you, because you got to start taking baths, and you smell too bad. That was how she talked. Oh my gosh. What happened? The next day he was showering. He was shaving. He started putting his clean clothes on. He even got cologne. Yes. And he cleaned himself up. You wouldn't believe it. And they actually did get married. And that was the most healing relationship for him. No more aggression. In fact, he got a job. He did so well. And then he had this wonderful job. He got a job as an advocate. I refuse to use the term self-advocate. Martin Luther King was not a self-advocate, although he happened to be African American. He was a great civil rights advocate, as was James, a great civil rights advocate. And he got this wonderful job. That love in his life helped him to just pull himself together and heal and recover and just organize his mind and function. And she was there for him for 20 years, and then she passed away from Alzheimer's. She had Down syndrome, she had early onset Alzheimer's, but they had a beautiful relationship. And then he went on in his work as an advocate, and he was a critical part of closing the institution down that he grew up in. It was a beautiful life, and a life of healing. And what was very significant was that sense of purpose and mission at the very end. So he continued to heal, even from the grief of losing his spouse. He found that mission so fulfilling that right before he died, he saw the institution close. Yeah, it was amazing.